Oh, good morning, folks. I was going to make a video about how I make my potting soil, but as you can see, it is pouring down rain outside. So I decided, let's make a video on pet care. So, if you have pets, when shift happens, you have to be prepared for your pets. Now, there are several videos out online that you can look up where you can store foods that your pets can eat and how to keep those foods good. But there's also videos out there on how to make your own pet food. Now, depending on your pets, I'm just going to go with a dog because that's what I have. Most dogs can eat most meats except for some fish. Okay, so certain fish and shellfish you don't want to feed your dog. But you can pretty much do like I do. Once a week I make my dog his own food from scratch. And how I do that is normally I use hamburger or bacon. Now I use a turkey bacon because we don't have pork in this house. And I mix into that certain mixed vegetables like peas and carrots and green beans and a little bit of rice. I don't like to give them a lot of cooked rice because some dogs have wheat allergies and so are allergic to a lot of rice. And you mix all that with a gravy mix, and you can eat it, the dog can eat it, and it's an easy way for you to store food long term, is if you think of that. Now, if you feed your dog dry food, I would highly recommend that you also add vitamins. And I like to give him on his dry food also once or twice a week a raw egg. I mix that in with his dry food. That way he gets the egg. You can cook the eggs. You can give them boiled eggs. I mean, the things you want to avoid is you want to avoid onions. Those are very, very bad for dogs. They would cause renal failure. So you don't want to give your dog onions. A lot of garlic. Too much garlic can actually cause them to have problems, gastrointestinal problems. So a little bit of garlic is fine. Okay? A little bit of garlic actually helps with fleas. So fleas don't like garlic. Don't know why, but they don't like garlic. So if you give a spoonful of garlic powder, not raw garlic, but garlic powder in their food, it helps prevent fleas. Now that's a natural way to do it. It doesn't work 100%, but it will mitigate some of the fleas on the dog. Now, I use what's called a pet vault for my dry food. What I mean by that, and I'm going to walk over here so you can see it. This is called a pet vittles vault. Now, I keep my chicken feed in this. And I keep this. This is various types of chicken feed that I mix for my chickens, along with their oyster shells in this little bucket here. But my dog food is in this container, and it has a rubber seal. And I have found that I can keep food in this rubber sealed bucket for 2 months. and it is fine. If you want to keep dog food long term, you need to treat it just like you would any kind of food that has a high grease content. You don't want to keep it for more than 3 months. Dog food kept for more than 3 months can start to go rancid, even if it is in a sealed container. Part of that reason is because in the factories where they make the dog food, it's not overly clean. So you can already have bacteria set up in the dog food when you buy it brand new. Just what I have noticed as far as pet food goes. Now, you can also store canned pet food, which, as you can see, I have the Nutrish. And again, when you store your canned dog food, a lot of times they have the pop-top cans, and so you need to treat that just like you would human food as far as the pop-tops go. Canned dog food will typically last 6 months past the expiration date. I would not push it further than that. Just my personal opinion. I don't have anything to back that up. I've just found that after about 6 months, the food loses its value and it can cause your dog to have intestinal problems. In other words, it can give them diarrhea. Okay? As you can see, I keep at least a month to 2 months of not only pet food, but also their treats, their dentist sticks. You know, I've got my mealworms and for my chickens. I've got it all stored right here in one area. That way I know exactly where it's at. But you can feed your dog human food, but I would really ask you to go and Google it, and look at what is potentially damaging to a dog. Okay, dogs can eat some fruits. It's actually a little treat for them. Do not give them a whole bunch of fruit. My dog likes pineapple. He happens to like pineapple. I like pineapple. He can get a little bit of pineapple once a month. I don't give him an entire pineapple. I only give him like a ring of pineapple, and that's all he'll get for the month. But they do like pineapple. They do like oranges. They do like peaches. So they strawberries. You have to be wise about this and only give them small amounts. But there are certain fruits, again, that you're going to have to Google that are a big no-no, specifically with dogs. Now, if you have cats, cats tend to be able to handle most fish. But again, with the shellfish, that is a big no-no. Okay, some cats can handle shellfish, other ones can't. Again, with the cats, no onions. That's absolutely no onions, okay? That can cause them to have seizures if they eat a lot of onion. Now, with cats and with dogs like this one, you need to be aware that, especially the smaller dogs like mine, they like to go after mice and rats. So if you have rat poisoning out to keep your mice problem or your rat problem down in the barn, you need to keep vitamin K on hand. So vitamin K will help mitigate some of the poison if they get into it, okay? And I think I had it written up here somewhere. Maybe not. But dogs and cats, if they get into the poison, you want to give them vitamin K, and then you want to get them to a vet as soon as possible. Like I said, this was not a video I was planning on doing today, but I'm hoping that this helps you a little bit. I did go by yesterday, since it was payday. I did go by yesterday, and I took Patera's advice and picked up some marigolds. And see, my marigolds are right there. And I picked up, of course, some pansies and a couple of the herbs that I didn't have any seeds for. Now, Home Depot right now has got a lot of seeds on sale. I would recommend that you go by there and pick them up, even if you don't need them. I went by and I picked up some Burpee seeds. I like the Burpee brand. You can pick up whatever brand you want, but they had them on sale for $2 a pack, which last year they were only $1 a pack. But inflation, right? Yes, I know I've got mess everywhere because I was also supposed to go to the dump today. As you can see, I got trash all piled up here ready to go in the truck. But it is pouring down rain. And we are flooding. As you can see down here, this is all water. So we are flooding. So I don't know if I'm going to even make it out today. I don't know. But that's what I had for you this morning. I can tell you what I use for my potting soil. You can check it out. I use a little bit of perlite. That is this stuff right here. It's from Miracle Grow. It's called perlite. If I can pull one out. It's called perlite. And that improves your drainage in your potting mixes. So I use a little bit of that. I use a little bit of the Burpee bone meal. And a little bit of the Burpee blood meal. That's a blood meal. So I use 2 bags of Pennington topsoil, because Pennington topsoil has peat moss in it, which is really good. So I add just a little bit of the perlite. I look for a certain consistency in the potting soil. I add Black Cow, half a bag of Black Cow to 2 bags of the Pennington topsoil. I mix that up real good. I put in 1 cup of the bone meal, 1 cup of the blood meal, and about 2 cups of the perlite. Now I also use something which helps keep the insects down, and that is this stuff right here, Dichanamus earth. Now when you pick up your Dichanamus earth, you want to look at the ingredients and make sure it has some bentonite clay. That's bentonite clay. Now what bentonite clay does is it helps the dirt stick together, and the plants love it. They absolutely, especially your sunflowers, they absolutely love bentonite clay. And I mix all that up, plus any scraps that I haven't given the chickens that, you know, eggshells, crushed eggshells is good. If you don't want to go and buy the bone meal, you know, you can use crushed eggshells. Some of the leaves, you know, you crush up your dried leaves, mix that in. Now in my raised beds, I do a German thing, which is called horticulture. Now, what they do is, let's go with what Pinball said to do. You put some hardware cloth at the bottom of your raised bed. The reason you do that is to keep the moles away. Then you're going to take leaves and yard debris such as branches off of your trees. Please make sure they have nothing green on them and no mushrooms. Okay? Old wood tends to start to get mushrooms. You don't want any mushrooms on it when you put it in your raised bed. You put your branches and your leaves and you layer it. So I put a layer of leaves and branches, a layer of my potting soil, another layer of branches and leaves, and then a good 6 to 7 inches of just potting soil. And in your planters, like I've got here, these are all drilled for, see, I'm reusing containers. You can do this, okay? I'm reusing containers. I just drill holes in the bottom of it. You can use a nail to put the holes, or you can use a drill like I did. And in the bottom of that, I put either pea gravel or river stone. Little small. You want the smallest ones you can get, and you just put a very fine layer of that river stone in the bottom of your planter. And then you put your potting mix that I just told you to do. And you put your potting mix, and then you plant your seed. Now notice I did not get rid of the lids. So what I do is when I plant my seeds, I leave the lids on until I start to see the plant coming out of the planter. All right, so I'm checking that once a day until I start to see the plants coming out of the planter, and then I'll take the lid off. Now the reason I do that is to keep the birds out of it, right? So these bigger ones I'll plant my tomatoes in. The little small ones, which I haven't done yet, but you see I got them all lined up ready to go. The little small ones like this, I'll plant my corn in. And the reason I use the small ones, let me tell you about transplanting corn. It's recommended that you not do it, but I'm going to tell you a way to do it. So once your corn gets about 3 to 4 inches tall, you can transplant it. If it gets 6 inches tall, you're going to kill the plant. Okay, now corn, the roots on corn, you cannot disturb the roots on the corn when you transplant. So you have to be exceptionally careful when you transplant it. Now what I like to do when I go to plant my corn is I like to take my eggshells and put 4 or 5 crushed eggshells under the corn, then take the entire container and I'll split it right down the middle, okay, and right down the middle on the other side, and I've already dug the hole, and I'll carefully pull that apart and just literally just drop it in the hole. And that seems to work good for me. I do not water the corn that day that I put it in the hole. I give it a day to sit there, and then I water it the next day. The reason I do that is you don't want to disturb the corn plant. You want to take every opportunity not to mess with the corn plant. Okay? Corn likes very well-drained soil. Okay? So wherever you plant your corn, it's going to be just like when you plant your garlic. You want to make sure it is well-drained soil. Tomatoes, cucumbers, even string beans, you can transplant those fairly easily. When they outgrow the container, you go and you transplant them. Chives. Let's talk chives. Chives are so hardy, you can dig the chives up, split the chives into 4 or 5 bunches, and place the chives in a wider area, and they'll do fine. I've got chives everywhere out there. Okay. My garlic, when I planted my garlic, just take my tip. I planted my garlic. It was wild when I got it. I planted my garlic. I didn't touch it for 2 years. I let it do whatever it was going to do. I only had 2 plants. And I let it do whatever it was going to do for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, I did not harvest all the garlic. I chose 4 plants, which were the best looking plants, and I let those go to flower. All the other plants I removed. Now I have a perpetual garlic bed. My garlic comes back every fall. I dig up all but 4 or 5 plants, and the next spring, as you've seen on my videos, I have garlic ready to harvest. Now you can harvest twice a year. You can harvest in the spring and in the fall. I tend to just harvest in the fall because I want the bigger bulbs and I want more of that garlic flavor to come to the plant. But you can harvest the smaller garlic plants in the spring, and you have spring garlic. Okay, that's up to you. I mean, it just depends on how much, look, I done dumped over the 50-pound bag. It just all depends on how much garlic you like to use. I use quite a bit of garlic, and as you can see, it is going very well. Don't know if you can see it through the porch, but if you have plants that you don't know how to raise, which is why I bought those right there. I don't know how to raise those plants, so I bought them. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be aware that you need to know where you're getting your plants from, that they're from a good greenhouse. I happen to get these this time from Home Depot. They might do good, they might not. I don't know. You know, I've got a bed that those herbs can go into, and they'll be perfectly fine with the oregano. Now, when I'm planting this year, I've already planned on how I'm going to plant stuff. As you can see, I still have tomato stakes up from last year. I am not going to plant tomatoes back in that area. Now, you're going to ask me why. You want to rotate your plants. You do not want to constantly grow the same plant in the same area, except for, here's your exceptions, garlic and onions. Now, with garlic, you have companion plants that you can plant with garlic, and it will help bring the soil back up to snuff for the garlic. That's what I do, is I look through and I say, okay, I can plant this and this together. You do not want to plant onions with garlic. Don't do that. They will crossbreed, and then you'll have all onion plants and no garlic. Okay, that was a mistake I made one year, and I figured it out, and you don't want to plant onions with garlic. That is your one exception. Some people say you can do it. I have found that no, if you do that, you come out with a garlic onion. So don't do that, okay? Hopefully this rain will go away and I can get some of my stuff done today. I need to get the chicken coop cleaned today. I need to get my seeds started outside. This is the week that I plant. And the reason I say this is the week that I'm going to plant is because I have a grandfather tree, that's what I call it, and it's right above my pickup truck. right there. And when my grandfather tree starts putting out little buds before it opens up for spring, I know it's time to plant. Know your ground. Okay, if you're unsure of what your ground has, take a soil sample down to your local Department of Agriculture, and for about 20 bucks, they'll tell you exactly what your soil contains, whether it contains uranium, iridium, everything. It'll tell you everything that's in your soil. And there's a pretty easy way to do it. Or you can do like I do, make my own potting mix, go to a place that sells good compost, make sure it's organic compost, not mixed with topsoil that they've took out of like a chemical spill or something. Okay? If you're concerned about your compost, then buy your compost in the fall and let it sit over winter in a corner somewhere, and just go out there every 2 weeks and turn it. And by turning it, I mean you go to the bottom with the shovel and you flip it and you turn it. And most of the chemicals will dissipate or wash away. Not all chemicals will, but you know, that will help you. Obviously, if you have rabbits, that's the best manure to use. But black cow, I have found, works good for my needs. Anyway, I'm hoping this helps a little bit. I know I'm just rambling on, but I'm trying to give you as much information as I can come up with. Now, if you can't grow stuff, and you really don't have an area to be able to store a lot of food, go with the freeze-dried. Freeze-dried takes up less room than cans, and it's lighter than cans. Okay, and so if you go with the freeze-dried meals, a lot of times you can shove a whole bunch of those into a suitcase or into a box and just have it, and it's good for 25 years. I would say that when you get your freeze-dried meals, write on the outside of the package what year you bought it, so that let's say I've got some freeze-dried meals that I bought in 2000. Okay, so they're coming up on the 25-year mark, so I'm starting to use those up, and I mix those up with my regular food, and it works very, very, very well that way. But 25-year shelf life. In the 24th year, you need to start using it up and replacing it. Okay, so you want to write the year that you bought the freeze-dried. That way you know what year it's going to expire. And not all freeze-dries are equal. Okay, if you get your own freeze-dryer, you can make your own. But most people like me, I can't afford that. So I look for things on sale, and I'll look at it on Walmart, I'll look at it on Home Depot, I'll look at it at Camping World, I'll look at it on Amazon. I'll go everywhere until I find the best price for the freeze-dried meals I want. Now, here's a little tidbit. Latter-day Saints. Latter-day Saints have got all kinds of food in cans that you can buy from them that have a very long shelf life. Look at Latter-day Saints. A lot of times within an hour or two of where you live, they'll have a depot, and you can go to the depot and buy food there. It's going to be expensive, but you know that food is organic and doesn't have all the crap and the processing chemicals in it that a lot of our food that we buy nowadays does. And that's all I have for you today. I hope my rambling helps somebody. I know y'all would like to see me doing things, but when it's like this and it's just miserable out, some things I've got to do, you know, in the rain, but most of what I got to do, I don't need to do it in the rain. So if I miss my planting by a day or two, it's not going to really kill me because I'm out here on the coast, so we have a very long grow period. So you have to also look at that for yourself, what area you live in, what will grow for you. And so that's all I have for you this morning. We just kind of hanging out. And you in my seat. What are you doing in my seat? Silly pup. Come on. Get out of my seat. Go in your seat. And you all wet too. Now you got my seat all wet. The trials of dog ownership. He's a good boy. Here's my Dookie Duke. Yeah, it's a good boy. Hope y'all have a blessed weekend. Bicycle.